Hello there everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am TheCrimsonTea and this is my quick guide for returning players focused on what happened with the release of Endwalker and its patches up until now. So without further ado, let's go! First off, as with any new expansion, there are those features you already know are present. I'm gonna rapid fire those just as a quick reminder, or for people who are not as familiar with them. Here we go. 6 new zones, 2 major cities, new main story quests, new dungeons and new trials, new level cap 90, new class Reaper and new class Sage, new enemies, hunting marks, mounts, achievements, minions, gear and gatherable resources, new job gear, new role, crafter, gather and fishing quests, all sorts of new craftable items, new tradecraft and fieldcraft leaf quests, new actions and traits for combat jobs as well as crafters, gatherers and fishers, new triple triad cards and opponents, a couple new rewards for MGP, new sightseeing log, 2 new materia grades 9 and 10. As you can see, those were all things we take for granted when the new expansion comes out, but those by themselves make for a completely new game. Now with that out of the way, we can talk about more in-depth changes. In terms of combat changes, we have one big one, and that's the number shrink. Numbers were getting way too big, and with the plans for at least another 10 years of Final Fantasy XIV support, new expansions and all that comes with it, devs decided to make numbers smaller. With the increase of the level cap to 90, that brings up even further power to the players. Past that, we have 2 new jobs joining us, the Reaper and the Sage. To get those jobs, you need to have a Disciple of War or Magic at least at level 70 and do their introductory quest. You can see the info of those quests currently on the screen. Summoner also got a complete over-the-top rework and now looks like a real Summoner class, but lost the ability to apply damage over time effects, something that also happened to Ninja, which opens up the opportunity for a dot job in a future expansion. Speaking about changes, all jobs to some degree add them, with new job actions being introduced, some adjusted and others completely removed or reworked. Every player had to relearn something. Now for most melee characters, when you use a range skill it won't break your combo. Meaning when you have to run away because the boss is doing a big AoE attack around himself, you are free to use those range abilities while away and then chain right back into your combo. In terms of Disciples of the Hand and Land, your crafters and gatherers, we also had some very meaningful changes. Remember the chance for gatherable resources to come out as high quality versions? Well, now nearly all mats only have a normal, not high quality version. This change was aimed to try to keep the amount of ever increasing items to a minimum, to help with the longevity of the game. Don't worry, fishes still retain their equivalent system and craftable items still have it as well. This change was mostly focused on normal gatherable materials. Because of this change, some actions were changed completely or altogether removed. On a very different topic, we have currencies. Bicolor gems and sacks of nuts are back, so that stays the same, just with more sources to earn them and more options on what to spend them on. Tombstones of Poetics still exist as well, and are used for everything prior to Endwalker, while we have some new tombstones being introduced with no daily cap or weekly cap. Tombstone of Aphorism gear was the best in terms of item level prior to the release of the raid, excluding some gear from 2 extreme trials we had on release. Crafters and Gatherers had a system very similar, with purple scripts being the new main script, while white scripts were used for the rest of the rewards. One very big change coming with Endwalker was the end of belts. That's right, belts were no more, and from that point onwards we had one less item slot to worry about. But wait, there's more. Because of that change we had an increase in armor slot space for main hand weapons and rings. In terms of changes to XP, armory bonus for characters below 80 was increased from 50% to 100%. Although on Endwalker release, XP bars were resetted to the beginning of your level. So if you had characters nearly leveling up, it would have been prudent to push them up to avoid losing much progress. Now I'm gonna do another round of rapid fire, because there are a bunch of changes that are too small to talk about, but still relevant enough to be mentioned. Please bear with me. Unreal Trials turned off until 6.1. Revamped to the achievements window. Healers are now split into 2 categories when doing raid content, barrier healers and pure healers. HUD allows for conditional enhancements, aka procs, to be separate from other player buffs, for easier tracking. Aetherite teleports now cost a bit more based on the distance travelled. Experience points in dungeons are now rewarded on boss kills instead of on every single monster killed. Spearfishing now has a pretty cool minigame aspect to it. Ether currents required for previous expansions have been reduced. Grand companies now sell Material Containers 3.0 and Material Containers 4.0 for 20k seals each, and they contain cool stuff like mounts, minions and other stuff from previous expansions. Some duties now have an extra weapon coffer at the end as a reward. Wonder Sales have Shadowbringers dungeons and trials as objectives once you reach level 90. 2 weeks after the official Endwalker release, we got the Pandemonium Asphodelos patch. It introduced new quests tied to the new 8-player raid Pandemonium Asphodelos. The starting quest is called The Crystal from Beyond and you can grab it in Old Charlian. The average item level required for the raid is 565 or above. Beyond that, experience points earned by completing level 81 to 89 dungeons were increased. These were very unattractive in terms of XP and this change attempted to fix that. Another 2 weeks passed and 6.05 was released, introducing the Savage difficulty for Pandemonium Asphodelos, and a new treasure hunt dungeon which has a chance to appear when completing Cub Iraskin treasure maps called the Excitotron 6000. We also got a new currency, the Tombstones of Astronomy. Capped at 450 per week, its gear is item level 590, which is pretty decent, while Savage Asphodelos awards item level 600 but requires you to raid. The new master books for crafters were also released, allowing crafters to make item level 580 gear, the same item level as the normal version of Asphodelos. New elite marks, prizes at the gold saucer and the new craftable cosmetic armor were also introduced. In terms of balance, Monk, Ninja, Dragoon and Summoner saw potency buffs, Samurai had a range increase on some of its skills, Reaper had its defensive cooldown nerfed, and Dancer had a slight change allowing it to pair up better with Reaper. This one was more of a quality of life patch than anything. Paladins saw several potency buffs, while Dragoon, Ninja, Samurai, Mechanist, Dancer, Black Mage and Summoner all received some buffs, but not as many. Warrior and Monk saw very tiny buffs, and the Oceanic Data Center was added, allowing some of our friends across the world to play with better conditions. And with all this, you should be caught up with Endwalker. I'm sure there is certainly more to talk about, but I hope this generic picture of what Endwalker brought helped you in some way with your return to Eorzea. Something else to look forward to is the upcoming live letter from the producer, coming on April 1st, and the upcoming release of patch 6.1, currently advertised for mid-April. This one will bring many new features and seems to be shaping up really well. With that said, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, remember to comment, like and subscribe, and I hope to see you on the next one.